Why aren't my glutes getting bigger even though I'm targeting them? That's a question a lot of people have, and there's 3 simple reasons. Okay, the first is that you aren't using your hips enough when you move. Let me explain. When you have, through your feet, essentially is a line of gravity. Whatever joints are furthest away from that line are going to be used the most. Okay, so if I'm doing a deadlift, say, which will target the glutes correctly, my belly button's in, my back's not changing, you can see my back aware belt, I push through my hips back. Now you can see the line through my hips is different than the line through my feet. That means then my hips and by extension my glutes are going to be working a lot more. If I have this type of technique where I kind of round through my back and come up, the line through my hips is nearly identical to the line through my feet. So the hips aren't working and then the glutes aren't really going to be switched on. In fact, it's going to be the back that's going to have to overwork. And you can see that in the back aware belt there, that we go into that bad position as opposed to staying between the 2 green lines, okay? Same with a squat. If we push our hips back, hips and the feet are not in the same line. So now that will work the hips a lot more. If we're doing that type of rounding, hips are more in the line, the back is further from that position, and that's going to work. Exact same here with the single leg deadlift, the last one you might use. Leading with the leg back, we're rotating through the hip. If we come down through here, we're now rotating through the back, so we're not using the hip, and by extension, if we're not using the hip, we're not using the glute. Okay, the next key reason that can cause fault is that we don't just activate the muscles enough. Actually, I'll do one more here. Okay, number 2, the next key thing is you've got to remember that the glutes, while being an extensor, which we'll use in these type of positions, is also a hip external rotator. So if we want to switch on the glutes, we've got to use extension with external rotation. If you do the extension, but let your knees buckle in, you're essentially switching off the glute. So what we want to do is always nearly screw our feet into the ground, keeping the knees over the toes. That gets the external rotation component, which switches on the glutes as now they're externally rotated. And now if we do that exercise, screwing your feet into the ground, or imagine if there's a sheet of paper between your feet, trying to rip that sheet of paper, you'll feel that in the glute a lot more. You can also just have a band around your knees that will buckle you in, and then that will push out by externally rotating. It gets the glutes firing. Number 3, make sure you have activated the glutes. Sometimes what we need to do is wake up the glutes first. What this means is doing simpler exercises than the deadlift or the squat in more basic positions. So start with just simple bridging. Now, again, I'm going to use my back aware belt to help me here. I'm going to place one hand on my stomach. I'm going to lift up and I'm going to press normal calibrate. A lot of what people do is they arch through their back like this. Okay, so now they're pinching at their back, they're using the back muscles and not using the glutes. So we want to just practice dropping down and back up, and you can see that sensor's not moving. I'm not here and then rounding my back like that, and that's using my back too much. Stomach is in, and I try to have no change in my back or my stomach position. Keep the knees out so we get the external rotation, and then we push up and back down. And doing that will help us. You should do 10. Push your feet hard into the ground. Belly button stays in, so you push through the hips. Try to do that for like 10 up and down, 10 moving your arm for 6 sets. All of a sudden now, you'll really start to feel your glutes. And if we can switch on our glutes in a more basic position here, well then that's going to help when we're on our feet. Okay, do those things. I think it'll really help you get more glute activation in your exercises.